longest outro to a theme song ever. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hop This Way show. It's your boy Zeus, and I'm here with the rest of our Tong. We've got Matt, the Madman Chua. We got Frank Zong. We got Rebecca Nishi. We got Stephanie Young. And, of course, we've got Bolo himself, the badass, Mr. Rich Ting. How are you, Rich?
Hey.
Great. Thanks for having me back on. This is fun.
Hey, thanks for coming back. We love having you on, man.
Yeah, man.
And everybody else, how's the rest of everybody? How's your week been? We'll put that out to the group. I'll start with you, Matt Chua.
It's been good. I gotta ask, why am I the madman of the group? Where did this happen all of a sudden?
Yellow Demon.
Oh, so you did the voice already. So I didn't, you know what I mean? You already took my job. I am no longer needed here.
Come on. We got you here just for, basically the Oliver Queen scene. So you're going to lift up your shirt every once in a while, flash the abs.
Nah, we're not doing this shit again, man. We're not doing this again.
You wait. I'm uploading that photo, and next show, that's getting dropped.
Rich, they're gonna fucking crucify me right now with this shit. I swear to God.
Great, I'm watching.
Frankie, brother, how you been doing, brother?
Pretty good. Just taking more time to go outside this week, man. The weather's getting nice. The pollen comes with it too, but it's all good. Adapting.
Nice. And Rebecca, how's things in Brazil?
Fine. I'm glad to be here again. So the week is beginning very well with me here. Happy to see you guys.
How's Warrior Max Geek going on Instagram?
Nice. It's growing.
Awesome. Folks, go out and give her a follow. If you're watching this show, you should be following her. You probably are already anyways. And speaking of someone that's fun to follow, Miss Stephanie Young. How you doing, Steph?
Gee, I don't have anything to say. I never have anything to say, but not for nothing. I did an Egg Live rant, and Brett Chan tuned in. I'm like, Brett, I'm not worthy, and I was talking shit, as usual. But my highlight of my week was dropping keys down an elevator shaft. Car key.
So
that was fun.
That shit happens in real life? I thought that was like a growing pains or Saved by the Bell thing.
That sounds like a nightmare when I step over that little threshold thing. What happened? How'd you get it back?
Well, given that it was an old Durango that I bought for a jungle car out here, and there's really almost no maintenance over here, I thought I was just screwed. The maintenance guy, who's really only the one of like 6 staff, he jimmied 4 different broomsticks or Swiffer sticks, and he put a little hook at the end, and then he created an L-shaped piece with flat with magnets across it, fished that down, swept it across, and got my keys.
Oh wow.
That's some MacGyver shit.
Like, yeah. I'm like, yo, yeah.
See, not all heroes wear capes.
So that was a highlight.
And
never a dull moment.
Rich, how was your week, brother? How's things going with you? What's new? What's the new projects? Anything going on?
It's Tuesday. You act like it's Friday or Saturday. I'm still trying to figure it out, dude.
Hey man, I'm just going back the last 7 days. I'm a dad
okay,
that works
that's
full
fair.
time,
That's fair. My bad. I had my misinterpretation there. No, everything's good. Just busy as usual. Fortunately, I'm working, so and I have time to jump on here with you guys. So everything's good, man. No complaints.
Awesome. So glad that you can join us. Sean Jarvis, what's up, gang?
Hey,
how you doing,
Sean?
Thanks for watching, buddy. Anyone with any questions or comments for anybody on the panel here, feel free to drop them in the comment section there. We'll get to them. But we need to get to this episode. We got started a little late tonight. My apologies. I was running behind. But what a big episode. And we couldn't do this episode without having Rich here with us. Rich, I'm going to ask you right off the bat before we get into recapping this episode. This is kind of your swan song episode. Fingers crossed we get a season 3 and maybe a twin coming.
Yeah.
But going into this episode, how are you feeling and what are the emotions?
Man, here you go. You're starting to make me recall stuff. Yeah, going into this episode, honestly, I mean, this may sound kind of boring, but I just kind of approached it as another episode. I knew the cool thing was actually we shoot out a sequence, so it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. It was like we actually shot me getting hung in the street. I think we shot that before we actually shot the fight, and so that was actually cool because that was I don't think they did it on purpose. It was just due to schedule wise, but I love how it kind of like just worked itself out because obviously being dead and then knowing I still have like another week and a half of filming, that was distracting enough. So I really didn't get caught up in the emotion of the reality of the situation. It was more just, okay, we got this scene to shoot today and then tomorrow off, and then we're gonna come back and then start the fight scene in the house. So it really didn't hit me till I think I got back in my trailer after the last night of the fight. And something that just kind of like a little BTS thing about this, like a behind the scenes cool fact was, TV versus film, the schedules are a lot different in the fact that, film, they give you a huge cushion as far as, choreography, like prepping wise to filming wise to post wise. And what I mean by that is usually, on like a network television show, for example, I think you only have like 8 days to shoot an entire episode. Obviously, Warrior being a cable show on HBO, we're given a little bit more freedom as far as maybe 2 weeks as opposed to 8 days. So the reason all this is important is because in 2 weeks, we spent, I believe, 4 nights shooting that house scene, which is really crazy. Because usually in the TV world, they would give us probably like 1 or 2 nights, So knowing that we had 4 nights scheduled, that was a blessing in disguise. Just going into it, just having done a lot already, knowing that was going to be such a cushion for us. Backtrack to episode 4 in the pit fight. We had prepped that for months, and we ended up only shooting that. I think we only had like 2.5 hours to shoot that thing.
Ooh.
And we came back for a reshoot for one small insert, but it was 2.5 hours because we were fighting the sun. Like when Brett was on, we were shooting actually the explosion in the parade that morning, and then that ran super late. And so Brett and all the stunt guys and that whole setup, they were there at like 7, 8 a.m. I didn't get to the pit until like 3. So that they were already in the water that whole time. And then I show up and they're like, it's 3:30, the sun's gone in 2 hours. And some people were kind of just already just like really, and this stuff happens, and people were just kind of bitter and a little upset, but I was just like, yo, let's go. So going from that, and that's all about the prep, right? So I was like, yo, let's do it. We got it, So we obviously nailed that thing. And so fast forward to episode 7, when I see on the schedule, we got 4 nights blocked out. Like that's a gift. So I was more worried about the schedule than actually the bigger picture. And so, I mean, yeah, I haven't actually, that was a good question. I haven't really thought about that. I know it hit me hard when I got back to my trailer though.
But we're talking what, 2017, 2018?
2018.
Yeah, so
yeah.
It's
like
it's
3
a ways
years ago
away.
this time, actually. Yeah. Yeah, because it's already April. Yeah, about 3 years ago.
Hello, Miss Amy Lee. Thanks so much
Hey,
for
Amy.
tuning in.
Say hi
Big
to
supporter.
Amy. She loves Bolo very much.
Hi, Amy.
Amy Seattle Writes, I believe is her Instagram, right? Amy Seattle Writes, I believe so. Anyways, give her a follow. She's another good follow on Instagram.
She's heading the funding for getting the season 3. She and Karen are heading the fundraising for buying advertisement time during the Oscar, so we get attention of Warner
I
Media.
think it's up to almost 7,000. It's over 6,000, right now,
Yeah.
I think,
Wow, that's great.
Wow.
out of 25,000.
Yes.
Yeah, we need another push.
We
Definitely.
do need another. But so here's my thing before we get into this episode. And do petitions work? Is my question. Like, do execs actually pay attention to petitions? I could see if we get 1 million, 2 million signatures like Snyderverse, but look how many people had to do the hashtag restore the Snyderverse just to get that to happen. And like that was $1 billion. And I'm not taking away from Warrior at all. I'm just saying when it comes to the execs, I'm not sure where petitions fall in that, as opposed to, you know, having the ear of them or having that social media movement. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's the cynic Canadian in me.
Is that an open question? I have no
It's
answer
open
to
to
that.
everyone, yeah.
I have no answer to
Amy's
that.
just said yes.
Well, she was saying yes to the Amy Seattle rights
Oh, got it.
for
Got it.
Instagram.
I don't know, man. I feel like it does a little bit, but I mean, compared to the grand scheme of things, I think that's a whole lot of red tape behind the scenes, exec board, secret meeting type of shit that has to get done in order for like shows to get picked up. Because I mean, yeah, there's a big audience push for, you know, whatever particular show that you want. Like, for example, like Warrior, there's probably like a few thousand of us like rallying up to get this thing on a season 3. But we were on that Clubhouse thing about like a month ago, and they were saying like, you know, we're discussing with the people at HBO Max, but it's still like it's super hard because they were saying that they were talking all these technical terms that were still foreign to them. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, so
yeah,
it's a good thing because it shows. I think it shows like, you know, the audience is there and they want more, but it's always the motherfuckers with the money and the who really have like the push for it.
I just wonder if our timing is
Go ahead,
great.
Steph.
I was just going to wonder if all of the factors, like if we, you know, I usually want to find a way to be loud, you know, if you're getting a point across. And we have a lot of avenues right now. I mean, you just saw Steph Curry wear shoes for the fundraiser for AAPI with Bruce Lee. And then those are going to be auctioned off. Those sneakers, you know, his kicks, custom design, going to be auctioned off. So that's already bringing some focus specifically to Bruce Lee Foundation. You know, so we have that avenue. We have the auction. We have the fundraiser of, you know, the staff. I mean, the whole cast. People could meet the whole cast virtually. There's more chatter happening now than was happening a year ago. So is it, you know, do we keep being loud? Is it reaching more people? But even just the fact that it's now on HBO on demand and not just HBO Max is a huge difference for exposure. So all of these pieces all around, just keep tackling this, you know, this issue. Let's do it.
What's up, Brett? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
So here's a tough question, and maybe I'm out of line asking this, and I apologize for my lack of tact if I word this improperly. But is the rise in the anti-Asian Pacific Islanders, you know, all that hate and rhetoric, is that something that could be almost a blessing in disguise when it comes to the Warrior? Now, I'm honestly not trying to say, you know, this is good that it's happening, but could that be a silver lining that we find? Could that be the I don't know, you know,
I would say, I would say too, like Warrior, the way the seasons came out to the public, right? It spans a very crucial time period on that issue, right? It premieres for most of us in 2019, and then season 1 is over. 2020 hits, right?
Yeah.
And then the second season comes in October 2020. So you've had 7 months of people watching that show in a different context now, right? Because, well, we started shutting down like in March. Second season comes out in October. So there's like that, and there's a lot of people also just sitting around now, right? They have time to catch up on those shows. That's how I found that show.
Yeah.
So after a bunch of coaxing from my martial arts friends, dude, they're like, "No, watch this." And I looked at the trailer. I was like, "Yeah, maybe." But then when I started watching, and I saw like episode after episode just pulled me in more and more and more. Even though like the first scene kind of pulls me in already when Assam had that scene with the guards, and you can't help but think of it in connection with current events, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, especially since a lot of the folks involved in that show are vocal about it.
Mhm.
Yes, which is hard to see, right? So yeah, it's not disconnected, and I don't think anyone even wants to pretend that it is, right? So
Exactly. Sean says, I think since Warrior switched to HBO Max, there's been a huge uptick in new viewers and new fans made. I totally agree. I don't know if you guys have been noticing the HBO Max Facebook and social media pages,
Yeah.
but they're using Warrior a lot in a lot of their advertising lately, where
Mm.
they weren't in January, which kind of seems backwards to me because it was released in January 1st, and now we're just starting to get the advertising for it.
Bandwagon.
It's
I'll
amazing.
take them. I'll take them.
Exactly.
As a Sabres and a Vikings fan, I've always said I'll take a bandwagon fan as opposed to a hater any day. We're just happy to have anybody on our side. I'm sorry, Vikings fans. We're horrible though. Kirk Cousins is great. Anyways, we're moving on. Let's get into this episode though. This is like we said, the swan song for Bolo, but so much happens in this episode. Matt, you did a great job doing the summary earlier today. Why don't you start us off? How's this episode like? Start off for us. Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot, buddy.
Same voice.
Thanks, as it's not in front of me right now. Pretty much, I believe I read that the episode starts out with a toy, and she is, walking around, kind of scurrying for new women to use in her brothel, and she comes across the lovely lady that I have dubbed her as another silent assassin. Because damn it, that's what she is. And that's how that officially starts off this episode. And that's all just off of the top of my head currently.
Well done, sir. I'm actually looking for our main photo of that, and I didn't get it uploaded. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
No, but this is great though, because this was kind of the opening salvo, or kind of our little sneak peek at the trio, or the Trinity Killers, as I like to dub them.
The Trinity Killers.
Listen, Trinity Killers, not the Trinity Killer. So I'm not stealing from Dexter, I swear. Yes, I know. I watch far too much TV.
Bermuda Triangle.
No, but so that was an important moment, though, and like we said, letting us kind of get a glimpse into Lie, right? So, and we got a little bit into her background there as well. But then we kind of move on. We get a meeting with Mai Ling and her husband, and that we know this is not going to end well at all. Now, Rebecca, you had a lot to say about this relationship to start. What did you think about their whole kind of arc in this episode?
Yeah, I'm curious actually to know how Mai Ling met Longzi, how they started this relationship. Why she's so grateful maybe for him, and how he saw the potential on her. And on this episode, we kind of see these two sides of her. Yes, she's the villain, but also she has feelings for him. It's quite, confusing.
And we see the two of them here as well, and unfortunately, or not even unfortunately, like we knew this, and Diane is a heavy hitter. Like, and I didn't know Diane too much prior to this. She'd been in a Disney show that my kid had watched, but aside from that, I didn't really know her, and I did not know she had this kind of gravitas behind her acting ability, because she is so fucking powerful in every scene I see her in. And in this episode, Guys, this is all spoilers. You know this each and every week, and you're in this group, so you've seen it 3 million times, like we all have. When she offs her husband, I mean, we see it in her face, and you mentioned it, Rebecca. Like, there is some serious emotion going on here, and there's no conflict on what she had to do. That's not what she was crying about. I at least I don't feel so. I feel that she actually felt a kind of kinship with him. Maybe not the love that he was looking for, but a weird kind of Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. I'm going to put this to Rich. You as an actor watching the episode, what are you thinking when you see Diane's performance and the motivation behind her character?
Well, I'm biased because I hate Mylene. So
Why is that?
Wonder why. Yeah.
I absolutely can't stand her. But if you ask me about Diane, yeah, there it is.
That's how he feels.
That's the poster that's on in my bedroom right now. I got that blown up. Like, no, but if you ask me about Diane, like, yeah, Diane's fabulous. She goes there. You know what I mean? And I mean, everything you just said, you know, I think she reveals so much emotion in that final scene with Long Z. And, you know, no one knows that, you know, that was setting up season 2 in a weird way, right? Just like you talked about Lai, like Jenny's character is kind of setting up the Trinity thing. And, no one knew like what season 2 was gonna be at that moment, but it's like she became a boss right there, you know?
Yeah.
So that kind of segues into, you know, if that was episode 7, segues into like, you know, 3 episodes later, which is episode 1 of season, or 4 episodes later, which is episode 1 of season 2. And yeah, I thought, I mean, just watching her work like everyone else, it's just a gift. It's one of those shows where you want to be on set even when you're not working, just to see what happens. Cause you know, that's the cool thing, you know, it is a job, but you can never really fully predict what's going to happen or what you're going to see. And I loved it because the Diane that I would eat dinner with or eat lunch with or get coffee with was not the Diane that everyone in the world sees. You know what I mean? And that's more impactful to me as an artist because there's just a lot of respect, a lot of mutual respect there. And that goes among the entire cast. And I'm not saying that like I've actually tried to find fault with every character on this show and I can't, you know, on other shows, I'm just like, yeah, he sucks. She sucks, you know, but on this show, everyone's dope. You know what I mean? And everyone goes there in their own ways and the process and the training and just, I mean, even Joe, for example, I mean, that dude is funny, man. Like, dude is funny. Like every time I see him working, I'm like, why do you look like that, dude? Like, are you mad today? Like, did you have a bad night? What you know? And he just smiles at me and he goes right back into character, you know? And I'm just like, yeah, it's typical Joe, you know? And Diane's the same way where, you know, she's so gentle in real life. Like she's such just a easygoing person. And then she gets that, yeah, look at that. You know, she gets the Mylene vibe going and she's a boss.
That's the scene when she had the idea, I'm gonna kill him now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
There's a level of ice cold that she has that I don't think a lot of actors can necessarily pull off. And it's just so even that you just get sucked in. You know that Diane is not that same person, but you know, she is one of the ones that had me so sucked in and just that keeping that level. And then for that scene when she does, you know, kill him, you knew it was coming, but the very little dialogue and very impactful dialogue that they had just did everything to me. You know, he said, so they managed to kill me after all. And then just the pure fact that he says, they have no idea what they're dealing with. I mean, just, you didn't need a lot and it was just boom, powerful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was it right there, right after that scene. And
I think it goes for like every character, you know, we all have two faces, you know, and that's what I love. It's like on one end you see Mylene's character, since we're talking about her, and she seems very, you know, she's the wife or she's, you know, the long Z's number one, let's say. But then you see this flash of like, I would say power, not evil, right? You see this flash of power and you're kind of like, oh my God, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. Same with Atoy. You see this like beautiful, elegant, woman, and then she's slicing dudes up, and I think every character in Warrior has this weird bipolar kind of characteristic to themselves, and I think that's what keeps everyone on their toes, and so because even with young June, right, when I think of Jason, I'm just like, he's like what
a picture. Why that photo?
Ask Rebecca. That is the one that Rebecca submitted to me.
I definitely don't have that one on my wall for sure.
No, well, Jason messaged us and he said that actually the one that he gave to you for on the wall was this one.
Yeah. I mean, Jason always likes to show off his chest to me, so keep that. But
you guys kill me.
He was taking care of the girl, giving her
exactly.
medicine for headache. After 1K, he got soft, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah. He did.
True.
And that's what's so cool, and that's why I think that scene with Mai Ling and Long Zi was a very big statement. Because it kind of caught people off guard, and then it sets it up for season 2 that she's going to kind of take over the whole entire Tong. And I think her facial, it's those, what do we call them, like those nonverbal cues, right?
Right.
And those nonverbal cues are very, as they're milliseconds, they're microseconds, but they convey so much.
Now I wonder a little bit, Rich. I got 2-part question here for you. You said earlier about everyone having those 2 flip sides to their character. What was Bolo's?
I think easy answer is, an obvious answer is, number one, he's like this ruthless killer, right? Who loves and gets off on hurting people, and he's always looking for a fight, when in fact it's the absolute opposite of that, where he doesn't want to fight. He defends. And he's very protective, so that aggression could come off as being offensive when in fact he's very defensive. And, same with Bolo. Like, I wanted to give him microseconds and those nonverbal cues and, those little emotional, gifts, I say, like in the water pit, when thank God everyone recognized he didn't really want to have to kill that guy. And, and the fact that after he takes out a whole Fanghai Casino thing, he's kind of like, well, like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, and so like those little, I like to, I, as the actor who was portraying Bolo, wanted to sprinkle those little colors and those little, like I call them gifts, because I needed to show you guys that it's not what you see. It really, like, what I mean? Like, you can't judge a book by its cover. And that becomes personal with me, because I always like to, and I'm now just speaking for myself, but I always like to connect a part of Rich to whoever I play. And, throughout my whole life, as I don't know, I'm sure most of us have, like, we've been judged, and people always judge a book by its cover. And in good and bad ways. Like, that's not a negative thing. That's just a factual thing, And I wanted to, like, in the first episode, everyone's like, oh, Bolo's a dick. Like, he's like this, like, he's like the, he's the powerful guy. He's, he's kind of a dick. He has an attitude problem. And episode 2, you kind of start seeing like especially when Jason's stabbing the guy in the opening scene in episode 2, and I'm kind of like, hey, I think he's dead. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not really getting off on it. I'm kind of like, and so for me, the reason why that came off as so funny, which it actually really wasn't supposed to be funny, was because it was so real. You know what I mean? I would literally, like, in the moment, we're not thinking comedic beats here.
Right.
If anything, I think actually when we were taping that, when we were actually filming it, I told him, I said, hey, let me make you stop. So if you don't hear me, don't stop. So I think, just to give that sense of realness where I finished doing my business here, I look and he's just like bang, bang, bang with the knives, right? And I'm like, hey, and he just keeps going and I'm just like, hey. And he finally goes, what? And then I'm like, I think stop wasting time, stop BSing around, like we came to do a job, like, stop, it's done. And then that's why he's like, I think you're right. Boom. And then he guts him like a fish. Right. So then it was weird. I went to we had a little premiere thing in Los Angeles and Shannon Lee hosted it. And that was the clip they showed. And the whole place started just, and I got kind of weird because I was like, I didn't know that was going to be funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was just like, I'm like watching, it's on this big screen and everyone, it was a great event. And then it's like,
cut.
yeah. And then everyone just starts like laughing. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I mean, that's better than, not, but, again, that gives credit to us as the actors who are really trying to be in that moment and really trying to sell it. Because I think now the flip side is if we're trying to be funny, it's not going to play funny. It's going to play stupid,
Right.
Okay. And that's the kind of comedy I think that Bolo has with Young June, where, it's like this guy's like he's like a firecracker ready to just go off, and it's like that flame is there, but it's like until that flame hits that wick, it's like nope, and then boom, it goes, and then he just becomes, Jason does his thing. So it's always like that weird straddling of like, are we gonna go? Do we not? Do we go? And he's just like, that's why, like in episode 6, after when we were having that meeting with the elders. Yeah, and it was just like, we're gonna go, and we're like, all right, let's go. So
and I kind of felt this about Bolo, when I wrote that poem. Idea about him. I imagine him being living quiet in the countryside, and when there's war, he can go as samurai would go.
Yeah,
that's what I feel about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I remember after episode 5, I was like, bro, you shouldn't have came back, dude. I was like, you shouldn't have came back. And he was like, it was nice out there. I was like, yeah, I'm sure it was. But that's so true, and again, that shows his humanity. I love it. That's one thing I think the writing is great. Like I just every new script or version we got was a gift, and we were so eager to read it because there's I love it when there's layers, and there was tremendous layers, within each episode, within each character. So.
Well, see, and that goes back to that just goes back to my second part of the question was, you mentioned earlier about, those moments in between dialogue, those moments that the unspoken moments. Mm-hmm. Are those scripted? Are a lot of those scripted, where, because where we said, I could see it in your eye and it looks like you're trying to convey this. Is that stuff that JT's putting in there and the other writer, like the writer's rooms in there? Is that you guys, that director?
It depends. It's case by case. And I'm not taking anything away from the writers because, of course, you'll have some writers and directors that they literally want full control of the artist. So they're going to have in the script, looks off, ponders, looks back. Like it's going to be very descriptive, right? And then there's going to be other times when you get a script and it just says nothing, and I believe that choice I made in episode 4 in the pit, that was my choice. And that was a choice, however, based off a conversation I had with Jonathan, meaning that we had discussed that, and I came up with the idea that, he doesn't want to do this. And Jonathan and I would throw ideas back and forth and we were always on the same page. And that's when I get to do what I do, and I kind of, I think we as artists, we get to find these moments within ourselves, and a lot of it happens in prep. A lot of it also happens on the day, which I love. I love it when it happens on the day because there's just certain things that you can't predict or you can't rehearse until you're in it. And some people, I know some people don't like that. They want full control. They want to be like, what I do in prep is what I'm going to replicate on the day. And that's great. My process is different where I just like to fully load. So when I get to set, I get to, the actual scene, I get to the situation we're in. Because there's so many weird, great things that happen while you're shooting, and it could be as simple as water is getting in my face. And so it affects me somehow. Like you can't really prepare for that. You know what I mean? Or I just knew that moment I wanted to convey, and I wanted to have a meeting of the minds with the other guy, that it was kind of like I wanted to kind of get his blessing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm here, and it wasn't like, I could have played it like in its true color and just been like angry and, gladiatorish and just snap, and I think that would have been the obvious choice, but I always like to play opposites a lot.
Right.
And when it's appropriate, of course, and I just felt like, dude, if they can catch this moment, that would be so cool, because I know they're, and again, with the edit, you never know, right? So I know they were going over shoulder with me to looking at his face, and I knew they were coming up looking at my face. And so I was like, if they can get this kind of like this mutual blessing of respect that, hey, bro, it's nothing personal. It is what it is. And he's like, I understand. And then it's like, okay, boom, so that's the long answer. But like the short answer is like, it's yes and no. Yeah. Sometimes you get these scripts and it's so mechanical, and they're just like, he lifts up the cup, he looks at the cup, looks back, and you're kind of like, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, well, I don't know if I want to look at the cup because this guy's threatening me right now, and I wouldn't look at the cup. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that's where we get to play and we get to have fun. And people like JT and one of our directors, Lonnie, and even Brett, they're very open, and that's what I think we were very lucky to have, such open, liberal people around us on set. I call JT. I mean, I refer to him as like, he's our. I know you're gonna hate this dude, but I'm gonna say it because I'm not a fan of them, but it is what it is. But he's like our Bill Belichick. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, I'm fine with that. I was gonna say Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Rodgers. I was getting ready to drop you, Rich.
No. Like that's why I set it up like that, because I'm sensitive too about certain things, right? So
Boston.
Yeah, right. Yes.
I'm all right with that. That don't bother me.
But yeah, that's what it is, because he's open, and he lets us play. The worst thing you can do is restrict, tell LeBron you can't do certain things, right? Like that's the stupidest thing you could do. So, so yeah, I mean, hopefully that answers your question, but it's case by case. Yeah,
you definitely did. Steph, you had a question? Sorry, I didn't mean
it was really just what I noticed, and going from that scene, because Rich, you mentioned it, where Young Jun's ready to scrap. Okay, so he's ready to scrap. So what stood out for me was, well, we know that Bolo wasn't on board with Assam in the beginning. That moment, to me, you see Young Jun coming up and sort of putting his foot down. You see Assam co-signing it because they now become brothers. But that right when Bolo actually comes right in, that extra, all right, let's scrap. That is a point where, to me, it was finally, Bolo giving his little stamp of approval on Assam. So you have that finally, like that. Okay, well, you know what? I've seen you. You've sowed your oats here. You've earned your stripes, and now you've got the three of them ready to scrap. But then jump forward one episode, that look on your face when you go to get Mai Ling, and you have that confrontation with her, and then all of a sudden Assam shows up. So that little that moment of like, what the fuck are you doing? That's you finally got the buy-in, you finally bought into Assam, and then look what happens. So it was that, those two just connected, this is what's going on behind the scenes and the psyche, finally the acceptance, but all of a sudden, no, he's there protecting his
totally
sister.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, now that everyone, it's a spoiler thing, but everyone's seen it. That was the whole thing. It's like this arc of approval of Assam, right? And right when I wouldn't say I'm agreeing with Assam, I'm standing behind Young Jun's decision, which happens to coincide with what Assam wants to say, right? So I'm gonna politically say it like that, okay? But at that time, you know, I mean, that was my choice in that room, which is I'm like, yeah, he's right. Not him. He's right. You know what I mean? He's right. But then then you fast forward because you're right. We're essentially a team. You know what I mean? At that point, because I think, you know, the initiation of Assam when he gets beat by Perry, by Father June, you know, that is finally okay. He's been through the initiation process, but it was still expedited. You know what I mean? I mean, you know how it is. It's like at anyone's work, anyone's job. You know, you got to put in your time, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, this new face comes in, and all right, he does work, and he gets beat down and all that. But it's only been like a week, and all of a sudden now you're one of us. Like that doesn't sit right with me still, right? But I respect that he went through that already. But you know, time is the indicator, like anything else. So you're absolutely right, and I believe, you know, that's what the writer's intent was, to create this arc of Bolo accepting Assam finally, and then all of a sudden, you know, I love that bar scene where young June tells Assam like, "Oh no, Bolo's handling it right now," and he kind of like pees in his pants a little bit, like, "What?" You know?
Yeah.
You know, I love that.
I'm gonna get over there.
You know, so I don't like how it ended, but I like that part. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, you're absolutely correct. Like that was, you know, it's great that people understood that and it was conveyed like that and it was obvious. But yeah.
Now
Loved it.
I'm gonna go to Frank here. Frank, now you watched the episode again, like we all have.
Of course.
Let's talk a little bit about our boy Bill, who is going through some serious PTSD in this episode. Yeah. He's at the Banshee, and this is the day after going out treating his old boy like he was a SEAL. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm from Canada. Anyways. As we see, though, he's seeing delusions of his boy there. Frank, what do you think? Where's Bill's head at right now? And when you're watching this with fresh eyes, how are you feeling any sympathy at all for Bill?
It didn't change too much. I mean, I guess him dealing with that full on addiction, right? Which they probably didn't really know what it was back then. It was just like, why don't you just stop, right? Mm-hmm. And then having a I think they actually interviewed the guy who played Bill, Kieran Bew. He said like he knew he crossed a point where he did the what you said did the seal.
Club the baby seal. I'm sorry, Peter. I swear to God, I'm a vegan. I'm a vegan. It was a good, easy joke. Low hanging fruit.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess at that point, didn't he also beat up a gang member in this episode also, or was it another one? Because I just like showing how he's starting to lose a little bit. But I guess each time I watch this series, I have different levels of sympathy for each of the characters. Even though, and also like Bill, I think up until this point, trying to remember what I was thinking at this point when I hadn't seen anything else yet, he is a more sympathetic character amongst the Irish, you know, because he's just kind of like going with the flow as much as he can. He's just trying to like make it out of the beat, you know, get promoted, provide for his wife and 5 kids, right? So I can see like different layers each time I go back, and like some of it might just be, you know, reading too much into it, but I think it's also what we talked about before, right? Like and also just what Rich was talking about earlier. Every character has different phases to them, you know. You have to like there's like almost like characters within characters, right? And actually, what Rich, what your character did at first when in episode 4 when they did your backstory was, for me, it kind of grounded me in the reality of that time, right? Because like up until then, it was just gangs and fights. It was basically like another, and just like more action, right? A few sex scenes and everything else. But then when Bolo did that scene where you did the railroad spike into the table, and they talked about your time as a coolie, I was like, oh shit, this is that era. You know, this is the era when the Chinese were building the railroads, and I really didn't know anything about people in Utah. You know, I knew about the West Coast just because that's where the biggest populations are now. But yeah, when you said what was it, like hot as hell in the summer, cold as fuck in the winter. And and I was thinking, like, I was just trying to, like, I guess I was trying to like time travel myself to that spot in my head. I was like, yeah, what were they going through? You know, it's like it's like probably like, you know, shitty food, shitty living conditions, people betting on them to kill each other. It's like what kind of fortitude does it take to make it day to day and not want to, you know, jump off the cliff, you know? So
totally. That's one of the things I wish. I'm grateful for that flashback. I'm grateful for that time, you know, that they allowed me to have to kind of reveal Bolo's history. But yeah, I mean, if you can imagine, at least I did, you know, in prepping for this, the conditions, like you said, obviously, you know, we're Chinese, right? So we're basically equivalent to dogs, to animals at the time, which you can imagine our living situation in freezing weather in Utah, in boiling hot weather. It probably never changed. So we're freezing and then we're dying of heat, right? And like, just because I'm a super clean freak, like that's just rich, right? That's me. I always think about, okay, like no showering, no water, like all that stuff, and just how would that make me feel, you know? And that's why, like, and then having that hair like that, you know, I mean, I've in my past, I've had hair all the way down to my waist, so I know what that feels like, and I know how hot it is. I know, respect to all my females that have beautiful long hair, I know what you guys go through. Like, it's not easy, okay? But like, you know, I was thinking about that even. It's just like, you know, it's nasty. You know what I mean? And I think that's why it was so cool to show that element, because it kind of showed the rawness and like the savagery that was existing at that time. And it wasn't just, oh, here's some dudes in some clean suits and there's some other guys and they're going to go to war. You know, there's a real history there. And, you know, that's when I kind of dive into my nerd self as like a history major, where, you know, I really studied that immigration and migration across, you know, the US. And, you know, they're in Utah because they're building the damn railroad. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you're traveling with your work in those medieval times, literally, right? And that's just, man. I mean, again, it goes to why Bolo wanted out. You know?
Yeah.
So the fact you picked that up, that's great, man. That's cool, because I mean, there's so much more to that story, you know?
Yeah.
And
see,
yeah,
this is why we need the season 3.
Right?
We need more scoop. We need more scoop.
Yeah, I was telling one of my
sorry.
I was telling one of my martial arts friends about the show, you know, because we always talk about the action. That's the easiest part to pick up on the first, right? Action, then the sex, but then it's like and then it's like the that part that you were just talking about, Rich. It's like because you were talking about how in different parts of the US you meet, you know, Asians of different generations, and he was telling me a little bit. He said, yeah, I'm fourth generation. I had like a great uncle like on those railroads. I was like, oh, you should watch the show then. So.
Yeah. No, it's very it's always cool when you do something that has historical significance and truth, you know, because it touches people in different ways. You know what I mean? And that's what's kind of crazy about what we do, because, you know, everyone thinks, oh, this is Hollywood and we're gonna Hollywood this, or, you know, Hollywood that, but this show is so damn real, you know, and it just, I mean, it's so real, man. Like I wish everyone that's a fan of this could actually walk our set at the studios, because like I went to high school really close to San Francisco Chinatown, you know what I mean? It's really like on the border. And so, I mean, driving through Chinatown, walking through Chinatown as a kid, and then going to South Africa and taking my first tour of the set there, it was unreal, man. Like, and then that's what really gives us so much life, you know? Like, I was joking. That first scene, I think in the pilot, in the first episode, where we're walking through, you know, after Assam gets his clothes, we kind of walk those streets. Number one, I think we talked about it before, Zeus, on another thing, that I was just shocked because, you know, we had walked it, me, Jason, and Andrew, and I was just like tripping off the cobblestone. I was like, yo, this stuff is so real. I was looking at the buildings, you know, I was looking at, and then it's empty, meaning that there's no extras, there's no props, there's no accessories, right? And then on the day, of course, I know they're gonna fill it. So my first kind of like curiosity was like, we're in South Africa. We're gonna need Chinese people. Like, we need a lot of Chinese people, right? Oh. And I was like, are there Chinese people here? You know what I mean? Like, it was like this huge white, like, elephant in the room where it's like, are there gonna be Chinese people, dude? Because it's Chinatown. You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea. Like, you know, I had arrived and we were all hanging out as a cast at that, you know, where we were staying. But I didn't see any other Asian people. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, so, you know, and then what they did is they had gotten all the Chinese in Cape Town, literally, and they had gotten Chinese from Johannesburg because Johannesburg has the big population there. And they filled it, and then they filled it with all the Chinatown goods that, you know, the vegetables, the herbs, the meats, and, you know, it's real meats.
I can smell it. I can smell it now.
Yeah, but see, that's funny you say that, because that was my one criticism. And we were walking, and I think I told Jonathan this. I was like, hey, man, this is 100% real, except there's zero smell. And I was like, and that's something that would affect anyone, you know, foreign or someone that's local, right? Yeah. And so, but that's fine. I mean, I wasn't complaining. I was just like, yo, that's the one thing that's missing, because anyone that has ever walked through a Chinatown, it has a distinct smell.
Food marketplace.
Yeah, exactly. Any open bazaar, any open market. You know, I've been third world Asia, I've been first world US, and there's always a certain smell, right? So, but like, that was the realness that you get, you know, and those things, you know, I love it because it affects me, you know, and it was just, I just wish everyone could, because it does, like, the shots of like over the top, and then obviously coming up low into the streets and all that stuff, you get a sense of the environment, but you really don't get it completely. And like, not enough. Like, I just want to credit the set designers and the decorators, because it was so real, you know. And I'm from that, you know. I know the real place, you know.
Yeah, right.
So it's not like I'm like, oh my God, it was so real. Like, I've never been there, but I felt real. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, this is so legit. Like, you know, and it was a whole city, you know what I mean? And it was like, there was a hill and stuff. Like, it was crazy. So I think that's, you know, that those elements, I always say background is more important than foreground, because if I don't believe what's going on back there, how can I believe what's happening right here? And they nailed it with that.
Ooh, it's interesting you bring that up, because there was a different panel or interview that Perry was on, and he brought up the extras and brought up the fact that they got all of them together. Yeah. Now, these guys have heard me rant about, you know, why obviously this is so representative for me, but I definitely had points of some generational trauma. There's no joke. I'm first gen. So talk about the realness that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've dorked out because, again, in some other world, I think Perry and I are probably related because we both are the Youngs, right? But we're talking about only 50 to 60 years from when this is supposed to take place to when my grandfather came.
Yeah.
And that's such a short span of time. And he could only work in a laundry. He was still in the U.S. Army, but he was still treated like crap. And, you know, he ended up living in Chinatown, ran the Mahjong parlor. So there's so much that hit me, you know. But then what Perry mentioned as far as all of those extras and why, you know, the different generations of when Chinese have immigrated to different places, Perry said for the first time he heard his dialect, meaning the dialect from his grandfather, which is the Toisanese dialect. And it was just like, I mean, I only have bits and pieces of it, you know, and again, but I still hear that little difference between the Toisanese and Cantonese. And for him to say that in this panel, it's like, again, me represented all over again. And that's the it goes to a whole other dork out level for me because of the realness.
Yeah, it was. And then what's even crazier on top of that is, see, that's where someone like Perry and yourself, you would pick that up, right? And I would say that I didn't pick that up because I don't come from that I'm fourth, so that was lost a long time ago, right? It's not my fault, is what I'm trying to say.
Please, I can only say mostly food in Toysonese anyway. So
well, hey, that's all you need. That's all you need. But no, that's what was kind of ironic because these extras we got were transplants in South Africa. You know what I mean? And so, this is a tangent. It's like one of the extras came up to me and I looked at him and I was like, bro, you're not Chinese, you're Korean. And he's like, oh my God, how'd you know? And I was just like, well, I have this weird connection to Korea. My wife's Korean. I can speak Korean. I've worked in Korea, so I'm Japanese Chinese, which makes Korean in LA. Okay, so I have this affiliation with this culture that I'm not blood related to, is what I'm trying to say. And I was like, "What are you doing here, dude?" And he's just like, "Oh, he's like, I saw the casting call, and I live here." He's like, "Actually, I don't live here. I live in." He's like, "I'm from." Oh my gosh, I totally forget. It's another country right above South Africa.
Botswana?
No. Anyways, It's even more random, right? And I'm just like, wait, so what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I'm going to school here. And so I'm speaking to him in Korean because his English is so-so, right? So I'm like just tripping out because I'm like, it's just so odd. Like I'm talking to a Korean dude who's never been to the US, who came straight from Korea. And then I found out his parents were missionaries. So they settled in this other African country. And then he was in South Africa going to class. And then he saw this open call for Asian extras for Warrior. So then he's on set, right? My point to all this is you get these fresh zero generation families that come from China, that come from Asia, come from Korea, whatever. And then they settle, and I'm so American that sometimes I don't think outside the box enough. You know what I mean? And so when I go to another country, I go, oh, wow, there's Asians here. I mean, maybe I'm just weird, but then I've never thought it's never crossed my mind that I'm like, wow, this is an Asian family that came from China, settled in Johannesburg, and has never seen anywhere else. Right. So that culture is so rich still from the motherland. And here I'm from California, I'm from LA, right? From the Bay, whatever. And I'm fourth, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like I just have a different mentality. So when Perry says he's hearing that dialect, it's because it's like they moved to a Chinatown in Joburg. They've been there for years and they've kept it alive. And now they get transplanted onto a Warrior set. And then you got Perry, who's out of Oakland via New York, who's playing Father June, and we're walking and he hears it. It's just, it's weird, man. Like it's weird in a great way, in a great cultural way that to Perry, that's such a gift. And to me, because I don't recognize it, it just goes right over my head. But I do remember Perry talking about that, and
it's trippy.
Though it was real. I mean, that's the thing. See, there's so much weird, great stuff that happened with this show that will never get highlighted or exposed unless people like yourself have these panels that we are able to talk about all these gems that came up, because people just want to talk about, like you said, the fighting, the sex, the story. It's cool. Season 3, let's go, right? But it's just so layered, man. Like it's kind of exhausting in the best way possible, because you're just sitting there and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, this is crazy, And
actually, Richie reminded me of that New Year's scene where Lee and O'Hara were walking through the crowd and they were talking with each other, and Lee was biting on the sausage, right? And Bill says, you know what they got in those, right? And I was like, oh shit, where are they going with this? But then they took the time to kind of like correct that stereotype, and I was like, oh, that's a cool little thing to do. It's like, this is pig. I grew up on a pig farm. I know what this is. Because when Bill first said that, they put cats and dogs with this, right? I was like, shit. All right, where's this gonna go, man? I want to hear another one of these, right?
But,
and I guess I should have trusted the show enough up to that point till I know that they weren't gonna do that. And I thought that was like cool to just like threw that in there. It's like in the midst of this like big celebration scene, So
well, it's like it's so literal, symbolic, metaphoric. It's like this assimilation, right, going on right there. It's like. Yeah, eating a sausage thing, whatever, and he said it's pig, and it's like, oh yeah. And then to someone who's ignorant in a very pure way, let's say, they would be like, oh yeah, why? Okay, it's pig. Like, why? What did you think it was?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, what did you think it was? You know,
Yeah.
because that's how we've been kind of. I don't want to get into that, but it's how we've been kind of labeled. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's great. I mean, that's great you picked that up because, you know, I go through it like a lot of us do with a microscope. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, ooh, that's kind of cool. All right, cool. You know what I mean? Or like, ooh, I like that, or I don't like that. You know? And it's just great. It's just great that there's so many fans out there like you guys that take the time to really analyze something, you know, and really dive into it. And then that makes me feel proud as an Asian American to be affecting and having this kind of impact on the viewers like this, because those things are important, you know, like I got teased when I was a kid, you know what I mean? And
same.
I don't even eat, like I got teased as a kid eating a turkey sandwich. Like I didn't have Tupperware, like a lot of the homies had Tupperware, right? Like, yet I got teased and I didn't know where it was coming from. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is a sandwich, dude. Like, you got a sandwich too. What's the deal?
Yeah.
Like, well, how come you don't got one of those things like that guy, you know? And so, you know, when that starts happening and then we, you know, it's our time to just kind of shed a little light, a little education on people to say, hey, you know, and that goes back to the set, whether you're from South Africa, whether you're from LA, whether you're from New York, whether you're from Europe, you have this assimilation on set that's not even being recorded.
Right.
Of all these mixtures going on. You know what I mean? And if anything, I was like the non-Asian dude. You know what I mean? Because I'm like taking lessons from Perry. You know, I'm listening to Joe. You know, I'm listening to Jason about Hong Kong stuff. You know, and to me, I was a student again because I was like, oh, this is dope. Like I'm hearing all these cool stories, like what you just brought up about the language. You know,
I don't know what Zhangji is.
It is awesome. That's what it is.
What is it? What is it?
It's like sticky rice wrapped in bamboo, and it's for a Mid Autumn festival. It's for
yeah,
years, right? It's just and it's usually wrapped around like anything you want, right? Like meat or anything else.
Yeah, see, me, that's called sticky rice. Like that's yeah. Like, I got no shame, dude. Like,
damn it, Rich.
I mean, I love it. That's sticky rice to me. So I'm like, cool. You know,
dumplings wrapped in bamboo leaf.
Pretty much that.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, you mentioned earlier, Rich, about how the fans all, you know, kind of find something that they focus on and things like that. We got our own guy that focuses on a lot of stuff here. That's our boy Matt Chua. And Chua really focused on this scene. Maybe you want to talk a bit about it, Matt?
Yo, so that scene was the best. No, I'm just kidding. I see what you did. I see what you did. You think you slick. You think you fucking slick.
I'm sorry.
I saw his eyes moving. He's all clocking this. Like, what is he going to show? That was great.
You guys don't even understand.
I
do 2 other different live streams, and and I don't have the picture uploaded here. I wish I did because I would rickroll you guys with this. But there's this fisherman who caught this shark, and it had baby sharks in it. But one of the sharks, and I wish I could show you a picture of it. I can't actually show you, but it's going to change everything. It's going to change all our backgrounds for a second. But this is the baby. This is the shark. This is what I rickroll everybody with. I call him Clanny Shark.
Oh, dude, I saw this thing. Yeah,
what is that? Clanny Shark. That is my boy Clanny.
Wait, okay. I have a question. I saw that, and I just took it as a joke. But like, what is going on there?
I have the same question.
So a fisherman caught a shark, and the shark had 3 babies in it. This is one of the baby sharks.
And that's not normal, correct?
That is not. I mean, I assume not. I don't know very.
Because I'm not gonna try to speak on like, oh, I know what a baby shark looks like fresh out. Like I don't. So if those eyes happen to evolve like and go this way, then okay. But right. I saw that and I thought it was like those stick-on eyeballs. You know, like those. You know what I mean?
Guys.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, this is stupid, and I just like swiped, you know, like whatever.
No, man, that's my boy Clanny. He's become our new mascot for two of our shows.
That's weird. That's
Yeah,
weird.
it's so weird. Yeah, never gonna give you up. That's right, Donovan. And sorry about Rick rolling you guys there, or Clanny.
No, I think Matt got nervous. I saw him. I was reading it.
I had no
Right,
idea what was
right.
going on. He's like, "Yo, I got something." I was like, "Hold up, this was not in pre-production. What the fuck? What's he about to do?
This wasn't in the
What's
meeting.
about to happen?"
In all honesty, though, getting back to the show, so my Ling was kind of rushing back, and as she rushes back, she gets confronted by our boy Bolo. And Rich, Bolo was playing with his food here. I mean, we did on our other show, Rat GTV, our theme a couple weeks ago were villains who could have won had they just shut the fuck up and got the job. And you know we've got nothing but love for you, Richie, and for Bolo. But man, had you just killed her right off the bat, you might still be with us.
Yeah, and a lot of people on the show behind the scenes would have not been like, they wouldn't have let it happen. It should have ended right there. It really should have.
Right, for sure.
It really should have. I mean, what do you want me to say, dude?
No,
I got stabbed in the back by a female. You know what I mean? That's how I always say it. Like,
right.
It is what it is, and I took it like a champ.
That you did.
Oh.
So, but yeah, that's why it's like, that's the only defensive part I get is people go, "Oh yeah, I saw him beat you." I'm like, "Whoa, dude, no. He didn't beat me, dude. Like, there was an X factor that came up. You know what I mean?"
Yeah, which was right here.
Yeah.
You literally getting stabbed in the back and then proceeding to get that Colombian necktie, which they do a lot in this show, I've noticed.
Yeah.
That seems to be a go-to finish for Brett and JT.
Finish him.
I think I have to assume it's period appropriate. You know what I mean? That would be my only guess. But yeah, I love kicking her in the stomach. It wasn't Diane. It was her stunt. But okay, my golden rules. I don't really even if it's your stunts. I don't like to touch you if I don't have to.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just my thing. And they're always like, "No, you can kick me." It's typical stunt guy. Yeah, kick me harder, man. Like, I'm just like, I'm not gonna kick you, dude. Like, So I always, but she sold it so well. That's why even the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh," I was like, "That was nice." People were like, "Dude," but everyone, there was no one that was hurt on set that day. Everything was cool. So, but yeah,
we got a question here for you. When will we see you on the new Law and Order Organized Crime?
Funny.
I watched it and felt Dylan.
Yeah.
Can't say anything, huh?
No, because I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those shows that's on our list, and we've read for it, and we've taken meetings for it, but nothing yet. So that's funny she asked that.
That's awesome. Mel Lewis comes in, and yeah, man, season 3. We're all feeling that. We're all definitely feeling that. So let's move back into the episode here. So obviously, you're completely surprised by Assam showing up.
Mm-hmm.
You die. So to jump ahead here, you die without even finding out why, though.
Yeah, exactly. I still have no idea. I just know there's some kind of relationship, obviously, I don't think. Yeah, that's a good question, because I really didn't dissect that too much as far as what would I have thought. Would it have been like a love interest? Would it have been a sibling interest? What obviously it is. I didn't give that much thought because I wasn't around to give it thought.
Right.
But yeah, that is factual. I passed away not knowing why that fool showed up. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I gotta say, I'm like no. Sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
Resentful with Assam, my Ling don't even deserve it.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
fair.
Mel Lewis, I love this idea. We need to make a warrior sitcom.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
kind of sitcom?
Yeah,
I mean,
That'd be
how
a
do you have a
dark
sitcom with
sitcom.
all this violence and sex?
That'd be a dark sitcom.
Well, I mean, Barry. If anyone's watching HBO Barry,
Yeah, true. Very true.
not too far off. I'm just down for any kind of continuation of Warrior at this point, honestly.
Big facts.
So we lose our boy Bolo here, and Mai Ling basically saves the day for Assam because Assam was okay. Let's pretend Rich isn't in the room here, guys.
Okay.
Was Bolo winning this fight without
Hell yeah.
Mai Ling?
I don't
Yeah.
know. A little birdie in my ear said, "Hell yeah!" I definitely feel like Bolo did.
I'll say something with no intention of disrespect towards Andrew Koji, right? Because I think he came a long way, especially later on to season 2, and how he looked physically for the role and being this badass that Assam's supposed to be, right? But it's like you can tell, even like in season 1, when the different actors' movements, like when he's in the scene with Joe Taslim, and again, no disrespect to Andrew Koji, right? When he's in the scene with Joe Taslim, when he's in the scene with the final scene with Bolo before the intervention by Mai Ling, right? But it's like you can tell there's this like a different level of movement when it comes to the action, and that gap does close a lot, later on in season 2. But here, when it's still, I guess it's kind of, I don't know about the schedule, but it's like maybe kind of early in the preparation, right? So it's still kind of there. So yeah, I guess that's my really long answer. Bolo would have crushed it if.
Yeah, I do feel like if it went on a lot longer, like without Mai Ling's interruption, unfortunately, I don't know, longevity of the fight would have went to Bolo, just because, I mean, like you said, during the fight with Taslim, he got cocky and he slipped and he got fucked up.
Yeah.
So, he was getting his ass handed to him anyways. Even with Bolo hurt a little bit, I was like, yo, you're still getting your ass handed to you.
Yeah, there's one arm left, but yeah.
It would have been. I always told Angel, I said, this would have been a lot quicker. This would have been done, and this would have been done in one, basically. But I'm just gonna take you through the house real quick, and that's what was funny, because that one part where he breaks my arm, like,
yeah,
that was a big deal because that was a prosthetic, and so to do a prosthetic not only takes a lot of time and money, but like we had to make sure that was going to be a big shifting point in the fight, right? But I'd always, I like to joke a little bit. So I'd always be like, bro, I'm not going to leave my arm out there, dude. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm not going to expose myself like that, So, because it's like he's got me on the ground after he flips me, which I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then it's like I reach for it. And then obviously, like, I'm exposed and I know he's behind me and he has it. You know what I mean? And I think I would have, in a real fight, I would definitely would have probably protected in chamber before reaching out for the weapon, because I know he doesn't have a weapon. I don't need. It's not like he has like something, and then I need to kind of get something equivalent to make it more even. That was a very simultaneous decision that I don't think I would have made, and so. But I'm not there for that. I'm there to follow instructions, listen to Brett, listen to the producers, and they're like, hey, your arm gets snapped. I'm like, okay, get snapped, So I'm holding and I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh, man, you're lucky you got all these dudes on your side. You know what I mean? So,
but isn't that like one of the first lessons in martial arts? If you go down on the ground at all,
like I just,
don't give it any,
even when I fall, I would just, you do something. But, it made sense for the fight. And
it looked great.
I'll give him that, but I'm not giving him that he's the one who beat me, because he didn't beat me. But I'll give him that.
Young Jun thought Bolo was indestructible, as he said. And he was stabbed in the back. He wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's so symbolic. Like, I was stabbed in the back. Like, it's so
literally, yeah.
Like, that's weak, man. That's so weak, right? Like, that's why, like, people always like ask me for my reaction, and And, you know, number one, I'm transparent with, you know, no matter who I'm talking to and no matter what media it is or what, you know, what venue or whatever platform, I'm very transparent when it comes to this. And number one, like, I'm just grateful to be in the damn scene. You know what I'm saying? But like, number two, it's just like, yeah, it was so abrupt and it was so, in reality, I wasn't stabbed in the back. Like, I knew it going in, and we knew the arc, and we knew the reasons, and we knew that this intersection and this crossroads were going to go this way, and the show's got to go that way. But I think it's just so ironic how Bolo, out of all the characters, literally got stabbed in the back. Like, literally. You know what I mean? I mean, at least Long Z got stabbed in the front. You know what I mean? And so, there's mixed emotions there, which I used for the scene. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's a job, and I know a lot of fans are angry about that, which I'm thrilled. You know? and my love is reciprocated right back 100%. You know what I mean? So, but I think it was an honor, dude, because people don't forget about that. You know, and so hopefully that immortality is a greater advantage to actually me being still alive in the show. So
now moving on from sadly Bolo's time being up on the show. Fingers crossed for Bolo's twin coming in. I know I go invisible every time I cross my fingers, but that's just me channeling and all the power I've got.
How dope would that be if it really happens, though? Real, you know what I mean? Like, that would be so cool. Like, I'd probably geek out more than any of you guys.
I don't know.
I probably wouldn't be able to say anything, right? I would just go dark on social. Everyone on Instagram would be like, why does he keep posting flashbacks of like last year? It's like, been doing it for 4 months. We don't know what's going on, right?
But if that happens, though, if I start seeing that shit, I'm like, he told us.
Yeah, I would geek out more than any fan. Even more than you, Rebecca, like 100%. I'd be like, yo, this is pretty lit. Like, people are going to trip, but we'll see. We'll see. That would be fun, though.
So after you get the old Colombian necktie there from Mai Ling and Assam share a bit of a moment. And this kind of is, it feels like the last straw kind of between them. I know they have another moment later on, but this kind of felt like the true break between the siblings. Like, okay, you've done this for me, I've done this for you. Go home, go back to China, because I will not be able to save you moving forward. You joined my most hated enemies. You got branded in. I can't save you like you just saved me. To me, there was something not just poetic, but also sad about this scene right here. I'm going to put this to you first, Steph. What did you feel seeing this moment between the siblings and knowing that they both honestly love each other so much, but they're the sibling equivalent to Romeo and Juliet right now?
She so far surpassed him, and you saw it. You know, she's reached a whole other level. She's a whole other level, and even it bring forward to her conversation with Atoy, in season 2, where what they had to do to survive. You see such a maturity level difference, and it's right there. It's right there. Like there's still that love, but now it's survival. You know what I mean? And that's real life. Like he's already been grappling with what she's really been through. You know what I mean? And even when he was talking to Penny about it, wasn't he talking to Penny about it? I think at one point. And you see the pain, you see the understanding, but again, he's still a little too immature to get past it, and she's a warlord, so right. She's just shoved right past his capabilities. You know what I mean? Not really. Not even in the fighting sense and stuff like that, but the survival sense. You see that, and that's also why I think back to Bolo and who would win, Bolo or Assam. Bolo had a killer instinct that Assam really hadn't reached yet. And that's the same with Mai Ling. And that's why Mai Ling and Bolo, that animosity, because you kind of recognize a little bit of the same animal, And so Assam just wasn't ready for that point yet. That's what I saw.
Yeah, and I don't think you're alone at all in that as well. It was it was kind of a heartbreaking moment.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those roads that had to be crossed, and it just goes back to the great storytelling from JT and everyone else in that writing crew and the directing, working their way down. Now, I kind of want to speed through the end of this because we've been going a long time. All right, we're already at a buck 20 right now.
Oh shit!
Yeah, we were doing so good at getting it right to an hour. I don't know. I'm blaming Rich for this one. I don't know why.
All right. I'll take the blame.
So we're going to kind of fast forward just a little bit here. We get to that moment, which was a devastating moment for the Hop Way when they find Bolo outside like this. Now, big moment here. Now, is that you? Is that a stunt double? Is that a bot?
No, that's me. I'll take full credit for that stunt. That's me. That's me.
And they just got you all hanging up there now. What a crazy kind of scene. And this whole finishing of this episode, you could just feel everything kind of ramping up. Now, you're done. Well, you said you guys shot this all out of order. Anyway,
Yeah.
You kind of know.
That's why that day really wasn't a dark day, to be honest. Good friend of mine, Lynn Oding, was our director that day, and it was. And I was just there was wind that day, which was so annoying because I just kept rotating on that thing.
No.
And so that was the kind of the trickiness of it because they wanted me to be obviously for camera purposes like pretty still,
right?
And I was just like. It was kind of weird. I was just like rotating up there. You know what I mean? And, like, he was just like, okay. And I was like, dude, it's taking me, and we go around but it wasn't a dark day. It really wasn't. Like people were like joking with me. I mean, like people wanted photos with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, all right, cool. So it was just, it was, I don't know. It's, I always find that the darker the material that's on camera, the easier going the set usually is.
Right.
And that's a prime example,
Fair.
But yeah, it was a mellow day, to be honest. It wasn't as tragic as it looked, I would say.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Seems like it was tragic for Perry and the rest of the crew, or at least the rest of the Hop Way here. And then Andrew shows up, or Assam shows up as well, playing his best poker face right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
What happened to Bolo?
Go on, his blood all over me. That's not Bolo blood.
Someone says that Long Z is dead, and the woman's not. So he was like, I didn't kill him. I killed Bolo. What happened?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Man.
And then we've got, of course, Mai Ling and Liang finally cementing, things and realizing that they are now in charge. I would argue that Mai Ling is now in charge at that point.
That's like that, like they got the life insurance money right there scene, right? That's what that is. That's just like, yeah, we knocked him out. Yep.
It was all worth it.
Yeah, now let's go live. Let's go move to the big island and like live, our best life. You know what I mean?
We're going to Hawaii. Fuck San Fran.
It's like if Bonnie and Clyde were mob bosses.
Yeah, no, totally. That's why I think it's so funny. Like, I don't know, I have to find humor in this stuff. Like, it's funny as hell.
No doubt.
I'm getting ready over here. I'm ready over here.
Right. And then the episode ends in obviously the best fashion. And that is Hop Way versus Longzi. And I mean, what a great final shot that was. And I love that it goes black and we hear it all.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was just the natural sound that it sounded like
I just got chills again. I just got chills again.
That was cool.
So good. And it leads into a great episode as well. We're getting close to the end of the time here. I just want to do a quick little thing right here for Bolo, for our boy Rich. Thank you so much for being on here. Here's a little tribute to the man Bolo. And it's not playing, so that's how you know I'm doing it right. talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
I think he's dead. I never liked that motherfucker anyways.
He wants us to scrap. We scrap.
Damn right we scrap.
Woo! That's a fucking throw.
Dude.
Six high kick.
Right there.
That look.
Right? And then this.
Damn.
Yeah. Damn it.
You know what?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ah.
Amazing. That was Bolo. I gotta say, Bolo Young would be proud. Have you ever is Bolo Young still alive? I think he is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah. Has he reached out to you? Does he know that you played this
No,
character?
I've actually talked to Shannon about this. Like, yeah, we've never had that meet and greet. And it's weird because my network and his networks, they've kind of crossed a lot.
Right.
But, still waiting. Don't worry, like social media will see that photo, trust me, when it happens. Like that would be an epic like opportunity to meet someone.
Oh, for sure.
Hopefully it will happen.
I think we have a new fan of the show, and Donovan Dion. Donovan, do yourself a favor, go out, check out Warrior. I'm sorry we spoiled a lot of shit for you today, but trust me, every one of us here has seen this show. I would say everyone here at least 3 times. Maybe not Rich, but the rest of us.
Yeah, I've only seen it once. Like, you know what I mean? It was good the first time, so I left it at that.
Right. Well, I just want to say thanks so much for everything that you do, coming in on the show all the time, Rich. This is like huge of you to do this. You've got such a busy schedule to go.
No,
And,
thanks. Hey, first, thank Brett. Brett Chan is the one who got us together. So, you seem like a cool guy. You still seem like a cool guy. No, dude, it's always fun. You guys are great. The least I can do is answer questions to people that want to ask me questions. So, it's been fun. I love you guys inviting me all the time. And again, all the stuff you guys do for the show, for not only me, but the entire cast and the entire production. It's always weird to me as the actor to see so much support like this, because I never expect it. But it's fantastic. And like, I don't know, Rebecca posted something she made of like, it was like this collage thing. And I think there was like the kid crying who just won for Minari or something. And I was like, bro, like that, it was not that emotional. Like she flowered that thing. I was like, yo, you just talk to me, you know? But I appreciate it. Like that was, I was laughing. You know? She was like, I met him. I was like, it's not that big a deal. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
that was hilarious. That was cool. But no, man, I always appreciate the love. And yeah, hopefully I'm gonna do more stuff so we can have more things to talk about. But yeah, I'm always here.
Let's get this man a Marvel movie. Like, how is this guy not in Marvel yet?
That would be cool.
I would say DC, but fuck DC.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
If Simu Liu can do it, this guy can. So,
what's that?
If Simu Liu can do it, this guy can. So,
right. Well, have you seen Simu though? Like, I'm not just saying that because he's Canadian, but damn, man, that guy's jacked right now.
Yeah. No. He's. I can't wait to see more of him as well. But no, I mean, it's a good time to be doing what we're doing. So, everyone, there's a lot of guys out there doing great things, and I think this is such a weird time coming off COVID, and obviously dealing with a certain, Asian American environment we're dealing with right now. Right. I think it's a good time, and I think conversation, representation, exposure, and just overall just education, like, is really in need right now. And if it takes Steph wearing shoes, if it takes us showing Warrior, if it takes you guys, having this panel, like that's what's up. You know what I mean? Support everyone's movement. I support everyone's support. And it's just, I think it's a good time. Like like you said, you got to find the silver lining, right? I think it's a great time. I really do. As much negative crap has been going on the last year and currently, I still think it's a good time because everything's happening for a reason. And hopefully we're going to look back. We will look back on this. I wouldn't say hopefully. We will look back on this. So.
Well said. Well said. I just want to say thank you to the rest of the panel here. The madman, Matt Chua. Drop it on us one time, brother.
What? Oh, the thing?
The thing.
The thing.
The yellow demon.
Yeah, there it is.
Frank Zong, buddy, you got any parting words?
No, just really glad I ran into you guys in that group. Thanks for having me on. I'm really honored and happy that it's becoming a pattern. And Rich, great to meet you on here.
Likewise.
Yeah, man. I have conversations with my martial arts friends about like that. This episode especially too. It's like there's no way he would have went out like that. What we needed him for the
Yeah. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, but no, it's great, man. Hope looking forward to seeing you continue to do big and great things. So
all right, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, okay. Matt, Frank, Rebecca, Steph, Zeus, obviously, like you guys are great. It's been a pleasure meeting you guys, and hopefully we'll talk again.
You got it,
Zeus. You got my info, so hit me up.
Matt, Frank, Steph, Rebecca, Rich, Ting. This is our Tong. This has been the Hop This Way Show.
Hey.